Who you think of as yourself is actually a comprisal of many, many, many habits. I got to speak to Warren Buffett about 3, 4 months ago, and one of the key things that he said to me was that if you are going to build yourself into someone who's very successful, if you want to accomplish what Warren Buffett did, being the richest man in the world, you want to build a bustling company such as he did with Berkshire Hathaway, if you want to do that, it all comes down to your habits. Habits will make you or break you. I know it sounds cliche, but it's something that people overlook. People just let themselves have these terrible habits in their lives that really stop them from being successful. Habits such as procrastination, being unreliable, being immoral, all these character habits that serve them in no way. And so in today's video, what I'm going to be talking to you guys about, this is actually a video in response to Stan. This is a video for Stan. And if you're watching, hi Stan. This video is going to be talking about my own habit developing system, what I've learned from the latest research in psychology, what I've learned from Warren Buffett, all packaged into a quick little video. And so where I'm going to start off is a book called Switch. If you want to buy it, you can go on Google, type in Switch book. And what it talks about is how the parts of your brain work together. So that's like the bottom, the base stem of your brain, how that controls your habits, and how the prefrontal cortex controls your brain, and then also how the environment controls your brain, and how you can use all three to your advantage when developing a habit. The way that they describe in the book is they say we have a rider, and so that's the prefrontal cortex. We have an elephant, which is the emotional, more reptilian brain, and then we have the environment. And so the rider is the one who wants to develop all these new habits. The rider says, I want to start meditating more. I want to start reading more. I want to stop using so much social media. And rider knows it's good for him. And you can imagine the rider on top of the elephant. And the rider is saying, go this way, go this way. I really want to read books. I really want to meditate. And for a little while, the elephant will obey. But you see, the elephant is like the older part of our brain. And it doesn't really care what the rider wants to do. It will do what it wants. And if it tries to change itself too much, if the rider tries to redirect it too much, the elephant is much bigger than the rider, and it will always redirect it back to where it wants to go. So you'll notice this in your own life. Whenever you're trying to develop a new habit, you'll feel this pull away from what you're trying to do to try to do something new. So it's really difficult. And then also another part is the path. And so to complete this metaphor, you can imagine a rider on top of an elephant walking down a straight path. And so this path influences how well you will be able to keep a habit. Because, taking the physical metaphor, the elephant can only walk around a certain path because imagine it's, a straight line. If it goes to the left, goes to the right, it might fall off. And so how does this relate to habit building? Well, if you want to build a good habit, you got to make sure to take care of the rider, the elephant, and the path. Most people only do the rider. They tell themselves, they try to psych themselves up and say, I really want to do this. But that's not enough. Yes, set clear goals. Yes, set numerical goals, like by this certain date. But you also need to influence the elephant. You need to give yourself motivation. What are the motivations behind this? Tai Lopez talked about this in one of his videos. The 4 M's, the 4 big motivators in your life. And those are money, mating, momentum, and mastery. And so if you can use the motivators in your life to direct the elephant, then that changes things. Or you might involve the loved one, and then disappointing them would really hurt you. And that can also motivate the elephant. But it's a series of different mental strategies to convince your elephant and your emotional system. And then the environment, that's also one of the most important ones because it makes building a habit so much easier. And so for me personally, one of the habits I've been trying to build is to start drinking water every morning. And so what I ended up doing was that I shaped my environment, and I would place a cup of water. It's actually right here. I just woke up. I'll place a cup of water right on my desk so I'd see it first thing in the morning. I would see it. It was in my environment. And so I remember, I want to drink water every morning. Let me drink. And so I drink 2 cups of water to stay hydrated. They recommend 6 to 8 glasses a day. That's specifically for your brain and your body. Helps you function better. And so it's changed in my environment. Or maybe I want to read more. So I leave books out. Around my desk. And so when I wake up, I just read the books. And so that's the 3-step metaphor for switch. But also other things to remember. There's a book called Willpower. And it talks about when you're trying to build new habits, you got to make sure to do it first thing in the morning. Why? Because willpower is a tangible quality. It's a tangible quality, and it gets depleted as you go on throughout the day. It gets depleted when you get hungry. It gets depleted when you do cognitive taxing tasks. That was taxing to say. Our willpower is a limited quality in the brain, and it's glucose. If we lose the amount of glucose in our brain, then we will be less inclined to have willpower to build habits, because that's what the building power of the rider is. It's glucose and willpower. So one of the first things is, if you want to do a habit, make sure you do it first thing in the morning. And also, some other things. What's also taxing to the brain is trying to build multiple habits at once. And so, me, I totally fall victim to this. When I first read about habits, I thought to myself, I can do this. I can do 3 at a time. But no, it taxes your willpower. And so if you're ever trying to build a habit, make sure it's only one. It may seem like it's little, but it's actually not. And so latest research on habits say it takes about 66 days to build a new habit. That's by the London Business School. And so understanding that, it'll take 66 days of you being consistent it's around that. It's different for different habits, but it takes around 66 days to build a new habit. And so within the context of your lifetime, that's really short. But what people don't realize is that, don't be greedy. Don't try to build so many habits at once. Building one new habit will radically change your life, as exercise did for me. I built a habit for the past 12 weeks of exercising. Doing some running, ab work, but mainly weightlifting. And you see, I've gotten a lot bigger than I was before. And that was just consistent habit. But what that did for me was that there was compound effects. I started reading more. I started taking better care of my body. I started being more aware of how I was around other people. I started realizing that I needed to strengthen my brain as well. And there's a compound effect. So it all came from deciding that I want to do this habit for the rider, emotionally motivating myself, I want this great body, and then shaping my environment, living close to the gym, having an easy workout plan to follow. And that was that. And so there are many things to go on about habits, but the main thing is that you need to start off with one habit the first thing of the day, and you need to make sure that you're hitting the rider, the elephant, and the path. You need to have clear goals. You need to have tangible goals with certain time frames. You also need to have, I'm talking about the rider right now. So if you guys need to understand, the rider, you need clear goals, tangible goals set by a certain time period, and you need to make sure that it's in simple, plain words. For the elephant, you need to find some emotional motivator. Maybe this is talking to yourself. Maybe this is getting an accountability partner. Maybe this is setting yourself up for social embarrassment by posting, I'm going to do this, and if I don't, you guys can, I can do something stupid. And then the environment. Make sure you shape your environment, because that it sets up cues for us to be able to perform the habit. And so I'll leave you guys with one last tip on habits before I go. I have a lot to say about this, but I'm actually running out of space on my camera. So one of the last tips I can give you about habits is that don't worry about your negative ones. If you worry about your negative ones, you really won't get rid of them. It's like trying to say, I'm not gonna think of a pink elephant, and you think of a pink elephant. It's one of those common examples of not thinking about something, but thinking of it. What you'll find out is that as you build positive habits, they'll automatically replace the bad habits in your life. And that's what you want to do. You just want to build good habits. Focus on those, because those, in effect, will wipe away the grime of the negative ones. And so, any negative habits you have, your time will be filled up by more positive things. And you want to continue that path. 66 days, it seems like a long time, but it's actually not. It changes your brain. Why 66 days? Because it literally rewires the neural pathways in your brain. And there's no amount of really positive thinking to change that. It's literally science. Accept the process. Go with it. And it'll be very encouraging for you when you see your life begin to change. Warren Buffett once said, to me, really, your habits will make or break you. So make sure to make good habits, and maybe you could be the richest man in the world, or woman, which all just comes down to doing the proper habits. So figure those out. Pick one a day. Do the first thing a day, and then affect the rider, the elephant, and the environment. Thank you guys for joining me. My name is John Victoria. I also just started on Periscope, so if you guys want to check me out, it's JOHNNY_V, Johnny V. So, alright, I'll see you guys later. I do these all the time on Periscope. Alright, bye-bye.